Welcome to this explainer on pediatric sleep science and sound-based relaxation. Look, if you're a caregiver who has ever felt that absolute wave of dread as the sun goes down, knowing bedtime is going to be a multi-hour battle of wills, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're unpacking the fascinating neurological science behind how kids actually fall asleep, why their routines derail so often, and how you can intentionally use sound to guide their little nervous systems into a state of deep, restorative calm. Let's get right into it.
Children do not sleep like small adults. I mean, it sounds incredibly obvious when you say it out loud, right? But time and time again, we kind of expect them to just switch off at the end of the day exactly like we try to do. But here's the scientific reality. Their brains are just fundamentally different. A child's brain is actively learning emotional regulation. And sure, their bodies need significantly more sleep to process all that development, but they literally do not have the neurological maturity to just calm themselves down on command. So to get to the bottom of this, here's our game plan for today. We'll cover the pediatric sleep problem, the science of sleep cues, masking versus stimulation, what happens when sound actually backfires, and finally, building safe sound routines. We're going to systematically break down the science so you can fix those evening struggles once and for all.
Okay, starting off with part one, the pediatric sleep problem, why evenings overwhelm the child's nervous system. You see, a growing child's body desperately needs sleep to function. But their daily environment is actively fighting against that biological need. By the time the evening rolls around, their nervous system is just incredibly overwhelmed. Just think about what they process every single day. You've got the demands of school, screen time, constant environmental noise, sugar and snacks, bright artificial lights, and on top of all that, just a massive amount of emotional overload. It's a barrage of intense stimulation. It's fast, it's loud, and it keeps their brain's novelty detectors firing on all cylinders. So when we abruptly say, okay, time for bed, their nervous system is basically still running a marathon.
Which brings us to section 2, the science of sleep cues, the neurological need for predictability.
Pediatric sleep science points again and again to one really specific requirement, the neurological need for predictability. The brain needs a clear, undeniable runway to land the plane, so to speak. Based on robust guidance, including stuff from the American Academy of Pediatrics, for a child's brain to anticipate sleep, it relies heavily on predictable environmental cues. For light, we've got to lower the room brightness. For activity, we deliberately reduce interaction. For sound, we lower the intensity. And most importantly, for sequence, we maintain a highly predictable routine. It's exactly this combination of lowered sensory input that whispers to the nervous system, hey, the day is closing. Because here's the thing. Anticipation lowers conflict. Studies by sleep researcher Jody Mindell and her colleagues have repeatedly shown that structured nightly routines dramatically improve sleep outcomes in young kids. Why? Because when the brain knows exactly what comes next, it completely removes the child's need to decide, to negotiate, or to stay alert trying to figure out what's happening. All that cognitive load just vanishes.
Now for section 3, masking versus stimulation, the paradigm shift in audio cues. If we're going to use sound as one of those neurological cues, we have to use it correctly. It's not just a magic wand you wave at a tired kid. To get this right, we really have to understand this massive paradigm shift between masking and stimulation. Masking is there to cover up sudden, jarring background noises, like street traffic outside or a noisy sibling playing down the hall. Stimulation, on the other hand, gives the child's brain something interesting and novel to follow along with. And hey, stimulation is wonderful for learning during the daytime, but it is absolutely terrible once sleep is the ultimate goal. So let's define this concept clearly. Masking is the use of steady, low, predictable sound to block out disruptive environmental noises and signal safety. And this brings us to a really fascinating concept in pediatric sleep, the boring is better paradox. It sounds funny, but when we choose audio for bedtime, we intentionally want that media to be as completely uninteresting as possible. So what exactly does a boring sound look like? Well, it sounds like steady rain, the soft hum of a fan, or low brown noise. Maybe the gentle, slow sound of page turning, distant, soft speech where you can't quite make out the words, or just a very calm instrumental texture. Interestingly enough, adult ASMR research heavily supports these gentle sounds for relaxation. But the science is clear that for kids, the usage must remain at a safe low volume and be highly repetitive. The brain shouldn't be trying to guess what the next sound will be.
Moving on to section 4, when sound backfires, identifying the danger zone.
So what happens when we get this wrong?
Well, despite our absolute best intentions, caregivers often make assumptions about sleep aids that accidentally sabotage the entire evening. Ask yourself honestly right now, is your sound cue a negotiation machine? Have you ever found yourself caught in that trap of just one more video or just one more story playlist? Listen, if your audio cue prompts your child to negotiate, bargain, and stay awake just to consume more of it, you're no longer cueing sleep. You are cueing entertainment. Environmental noise research really backs this up, detailing exactly when sound backfires. Basically, sound disrupts sleep when safe volume limits are ignored and the audio is just too loud, or the audio itself is simply too exciting. If video playlists keep changing, feeding the brain all these new visual and auditory surprises, the content is keeping the child actively alert. Instead of masking the outside world, you're highly stimulating the brain, which scientifically delays sleep onset. So the crucial point here is this. If sound becomes the main event, the content is too engaging. A proper sleep cue has to do one job. It must shift the brain from active problem solving and play right into a state of safety and rest. It should just fade into the background. It should never, ever be the star of the show. And it should absolutely never be a tool for bargaining. And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, Building Safe Sound Routines, highly actionable steps for a peaceful night. Okay, so how do we actually put all this science into practice? We're going to build safe, effective sound routines derived directly from pediatric science. First things first, you have to establish the precondition. Before a single sound is played, you must start with the light. Lower the room brightness to cue that circadian rhythm, and crucially, reduce the interaction. You've got to stop the debates. No fast games, no intense videos, and absolutely no last-minute negotiations. You just have to set the physical stage before the audio can do its work. Let's see how this builds into an actual chronological routine. 1. Wash. 2. Pajamas. 3. Teeth. 4. A physical story. 5. This is exactly where the safe, low-volume sound belongs. And finally, 6. Lights down. See, it's a predictable sequence. The child doesn't have to wonder what step 3 is going to be tonight, because it's always exactly the same. If you take away just one golden rule from this entire explainer about pediatric sleep audio, please let it be this. Same sound, same volume, same time, same ending. Safe volume and boring repetition are literally your greatest allies here. When you stop switching up the playlists and just provide a steady, masked acoustic environment, children finally relax, simply because their world has become predictably safe. As we wrap up this exploration into the science of rest, I want you to really reflect on your own evenings. What is the absolute hardest part of bedtime in your home? Is it starting the routine? Is it keeping them asleep? Or is it early waking? Try taking the science of masking, safe volume, predictability, and lowered stimulation that we just unpacked and see exactly where it fits into your toughest hurdle. A peaceful night is scientifically possible. It really just takes the right cues. Thanks for